Hello, everyone. In this session, we are going to study the system of Goel in the system of Jubilee. Actually, the word Goel is in Hebrew is like this: Goel. It is translated into Redeemer. Those who redeem his relative in his difficulties. So literally, Redeemer is the one who redeemed on behalf of his relative who are in difficulties and in need. So Redeemer, so Goel is the one who solved the problem for his difficult, for his relative in difficulty. So Goel, the word Goel is used in marriage system and sacrificial offering system, and even it is used in the name of God, and used in the land system. So it is really broadly used, especially in the system of land. When the word Goel is used in the system of land, it is always used with the word Jubilee. So Goel is kind of most important one in a Jubilee system. Without Goel, Jubilee cannot be activated actively. So, as we have already studied, the people of Israel, when they entered the land of Canaan, they conquered the Canaanites, and then they were distributed land. Each tribe, each clan, each family were distributed the land. That's why on the land, actually, each clan, each family will farm grains, whatever fruit, whatever vegetables, or they could do their like shepherding and whatsoever. But in the course of time, in the farming, then when a farmer doesn't have enough harvest, then and he doesn't have enough food for eating, and to keep as a seed for next year, then they need to borrow some food or grain from the one who harvests richly. And in this case, actually, those who want grain or food, they need to sell their land to the one from whom you wanna borrow some land, some food. Then actually the land cannot be purchased or sold, but in this case, because of food shortage, they need to sell their land to buy some food, to buy some grain. In this case, actually, your closest relative need to buy the land from the one who bought the land from your relative. And that's why the function of the redeemer is you need to redeem, you need to buy it back, buy the land back, and then return it to your relative, uh, who is the original owner of the land. Otherwise, Israel, um, if you don't work as a Goel, so your relative will be easily peasant farmer who doesn't have a farm or land and just work for someone else. It's a peasant farmer, or even they fall into serf. Serf means a farming slave. So it is very important for the society of Israel to uh, encourage the system of Goel, or to practice the system of Goel. So by practicing, Israel will realize the righteousness of God. So, but you need to think about this. Do you think Israel really many of Israel people want to be Goel, want to function as Goel? No, not so much, because people are usually greedy. That's why even though you see your relative are getting poorer and poorer, you don't want to help them. That's what really happened in the history of Israel. So actually, Goel must be a person who fear God, and then who uh, is able to control greed. That's why Goel. Not everyone can be Goel because they couldn't control their greed, but we still. That's why in the history of Israel there are not many Goel, I think, but still we see the Old Testament demonstrate some good cases of Goel. First one is Boaz, the husband of Ruth. Okay, if you go to Ruth chapter 3, verses 9, 12, 13, we can see how Boaz worked as Goel for Ruth. Okay, verse 9, chapter 3, verse 9. Who are you? He asked. He means Boaz. I am your servant Ruth, she said. Spread a corner of your garment over me, since you are a guardian redeemer of our family. So, guardian redeemer. Verse 12. Although it is true that I am a guardian redeemer of our family, there is another who is more closely related than I. Stay here for the night, and in the morning, if he wants to do his duty as your guardian redeemer, good. Let him redeem you. But if he is not willing, as surely as the Lord lives, I'll do it. Lie here until morning. So here in these verses, you find the word guardian redeemer. What is guardian redeemer? Guardian redeemer is the one who has the obligation to redeem his relative in their difficulties. That is guardian redeemer. Here he said, here Boaz told uh, Ruth that there's a closer relative than him who can be guardian, who is already, who is guardian redeemer. So Boaz suggests that, okay, if the closer relative want to do his duty as guardian redeemer, he will do. He will become the husband of Ruth, and then he will do. But if he is not willing to do it, then Boaz himself will do it. So the Bible demonstrates that he finally did, because the closer relative was reluctant to do it. He was not willing to do it. Yes. So that's why he restored whose family? Naomi's family. Naomi, the wife of Elimelech. So that's why if there was no Boaz, actually the family of Elimelech, family line would be cut. Okay. Now, second good case of Goel is 1 Samuel chapter 22 verse 2. It is David. Actually, you can say David is not direct Goel for his relatives, but he functioned as a Goel for the ones who are in distress, for the ones who are in discontented, who are in debt. Okay, let's go to chapter 22, 1 Samuel chapter 22 verse 2. First Samuel 22 verse 2. All those who are in distress or in debt or discontented gathered around him, and he became their commander. About 400 men were with him. Even from the early stage of Israel kingdom, there are so many people who went bankrupt. So it means that even the early stage of Israel kingdom, means the time of Saul, already the Israel society became unequal. Some are rich, some are very poor. So not so many people wanted to do function as Goel, and the system of Jubilee was not kept, was not obeyed. So here, people who are in distress, people who are in debt, people who are in discontented, gathered together around David, and they followed him, David. So it means that David became their Goel. So what does it mean here? Those who are in distress. Those who are in distress means that actually they used to be like peasant farmer or serf, farming slaves, but they were pressed by their masters. About in debt, those who were in debt means that they were not able to repay their debt. So that's why they had no choice but to be sold as serf, farming slave. Third one, in discontented. Who were in discontented means those who were grumble, those who were not satisfied and grumbling against the government, because in the Israel society, the system of Jubilee and Goel system were not kept. That's why they are discontented. So these people gathered around David and followed him. So in this way, David became their Goel, even though he was not directly uh, their relative. Third, Jeremiah. Jeremiah. Okay, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 32, verses 8 and 9. Jeremiah 32, verses 8 and 9. Then, just as the Lord has said, my cousin Hanamel came to me in the courtyard of the garden and said, buy my field at Anathoth in the territory of Benjamin, since it is your right to redeem it and possess it. Buy it for yourself. I knew that this was the word of the Lord, so I bought the field at Anathoth from my cousin Hanamel and weighed out for him 17 shekels of silver. Jeremiah heard the commandment of God, and he went to his cousin Hanamel in Anathoth. There was a small portion of Anathoth. So Jeremiah was commanded to buy the land, small portion of land in Anathoth. Actually, this Jeremiah, the family of Jeremiah is actually family of priests. That's why, family's field, a priest land means that it is not very big. Just only a small portion of land. On top of this, the land was in Anathoth. Anathoth is the up north of Jerusalem, and then it's a frontier. So it was at the time the land was under the control of Babylon, so which means that the land was not very much usable. So actually, the land it'd be very, very cheap. Yeah, it was almost useless, not very much. But why did God ask him to buy the land? It means that Jerusalem, Judah will be restored. This is the sign of promise of God. So that's why buying the land in Anathoth is the sign of what? God's promise. So when Jubilee and Goel system were actively realized, practiced, the society of Israel will be righteous and just. But unfortunately, in the society of Israel, in history, the system of Goel and Jubilee were not widely practiced. That's why prophets in BC 8th century, such as Amos, Micah, Hosea, and Isaiah, proclaim the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord. What is the day of the Lord? The day of the Lord is the day of judgment for the people who broke Jubilee and Goel system. So as it was prophesied in Leviticus chapter 26, if they don't keep Jubilee, if the people of Israel don't keep covenant law, including Jubilee, they will be taken into foreign land. That's why finally Israel was taken to Babylon. But still, many people, many poor people, economically weak people, uh, strongly hope that hope the Messiah propose, who will fulfill Goel and Jubilee system, according to Isaiah chapter 61. Today's up to here. And in our next session, we're going to study Jubilee in the New Testament. Thank you very much.